I can't hear. Sound not on. Gone again. Do I need to come to the courthouse? I'm the only one not there. Okay.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Jason, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so you're an aye also. The minutes of the April 12th are hereby approved. Next item on the agenda is audience with individuals. We have one person signed up to address the court, Mr. Dwayne Ralston, to talk about Blattner. Mr. Ralston, if you would come up here and let me give you a microphone so this can be heard, people remotely and on YouTube. You need to hold it fairly near your face when you're talking.
My name is Dwayne Ralston. I'm here representing myself and my community in Mount Olive and Caradan. This is in reference to the Caradan Bridge. Is the Irby Energy Windmill Company. They made repairs on County Road 259 to 262 that turns on to 575. They made repairs on the road, on these county roads, so their heavy equipment can use I assume, this is the reason why they made repairs, so their heavy equipment would drive down those roads to their staging site between Caradan Bridge and County Road 262. Well, their vehicles seem to have forgotten this because they're using 575 over the Caravan Bridge to the staging area. On the turnoff from 2005 onto 575, as you notice, anyone driving there, the asphalt is getting torn up from these vehicles. And it's not even gotten hot yet. Once it gets hot, they'll do more damage to these roads. I don't know if their budgets compensated for the damage they're doing to our Caravan Bridge. Because you're talking about the gravel, and you're talking about 4 or 5 vehicles at a time driving over at one time. I physically watched them driving these heavy equipment over that bridge. Like I said, I assume that's why they made repairs on County Road 259 to 262. So they use that road. And I have not seen any vehicles driving down their road. They keep coming down 575 over Caravan to the station area. I'm asking the county commissioner, precinct commissioner, being that April 12th, you recognize them for the good job they're doing on the county roads. I'm asking if you please contact them, and I'm speaking for our community. I was asked to address this. I was asked to address this to you, now, not because you mentioned it in April 12th meeting. I was asked this before. I noticed how you said they were doing a good job on roads. We're asking, please, somebody needs to address this to them. Because they're tearing up our bridge. When they leave here, we still need to live in the street. And that's not going to, their vehicles with the extended mirrors, they're not considering their exterior. They are driving over that bridge 50, 60, I don't have the radars, I can't quote exactly, but they're driving over that bridge, excessive speed. They already busted my mirror once. Luckily, with them hitting it, I was able to repair it. It didn't completely shatter. Those mirrors cost over $250 to get repaired. When they did that, I pulled over because I had repaired the mirrors hanging down. I waited 15 to 20 minutes for them to come back. They didn't even bother me coming back. I went to the staging area. There was no management there. I spoke to a young lady there that was driving one of the vehicles. She had a co-pilot. I asked her, she said there was no management there. I didn't find out until yesterday because there was a gentleman working out there. And I pulled over and I asked him if he worked, and he said, well, he's doing repairs there. And he told me he's having the same exact problem. He wasn't with the new window company, but he was working, doing some repairs there. He said he's having the same problem. He said he nearly had to run into a concrete slab on the other side of the Caravan Bridge because they don't compensate for their extended mirror. So basically with their mirror, it's going over the Center Street.
Mr. Ralston, you have about a minute left. If
And
you've covered it all.
we're asking, please, if somebody can please address this to the company. I just found out where the management company was. We're asking that somebody can please address the company management. That they can please do something about these. Like I said, when they leave, our bridge fall apart, who's gonna pay for it? It's gonna come out the Mills County budget. Thank you very much. God bless you.
Thank you, Mr. Olson. Thank you. Item 4 on the agenda is consider an act on accounts payable. The accounts payable were distributed electronically to Commissioner Spratty. Everybody had a chance to look them over, and are there any questions for our recently returned treasurer?
I have none.
Go ahead, Commissioner Williams.
I have none,
Oh,
Judge.
none, okay.
I'll move to approve the accounts payable.
We have a motion from Commissioner Wright to approve accounts payable. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Second from Commissioner Guerin. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Item 5 on the agenda is no longer necessary. We're going to pass it. The court designated a auxiliary courtroom back in 2008. That designation is still in place. And this is something we will need for some jury trials that will be starting in late May. So that we pass on that one. Number 6, consider an act on fireworks sales during Memorial Day weekend. This came off the calendar reminder. Fireworks in Texas are only permitted for sale statewide on July 4th and shortly before New Year's, and then if you're near the border, there's another holiday. But Commissioners Court may authorize them for some other dates, including Memorial Day, but they have to be done in a window of time. This is the window if there's a interest in authorizing fireworks sale going into the Memorial Day weekend. This is the time to speak up and propose it. Otherwise, we will pass and there will be no legal fireworks sale. Okay, with no input from the commissioners, we will pass on item 6 and take no action. Item 7 is consider on an act to declare a air compressor surplus. I believe this is precinct 4. Commissioner Williams.
Yes, so we've replaced the air compressor in our county barn. This one was getting very weak and wasn't staying up. It still runs. There is still a resellable value to it. So we would like to declare it as surplus and put it in the next auction out at our local Live Oak auction dealer.
Any questions or discussion?
I move we declare it surplus, let him take the cowboy sale or wherever.
We have a motion from Commissioner Guerin to declare it surplus. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Second from Commissioner Wright. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
This is just to declare it surplus, it's not to sell it. Doesn't say that.
No, it doesn't say that, does it? It's got surplus.
Just declaring it surplus so we can put it back
So
on
it would
the.
have to be put on the agenda
Yeah.
again to sell it.
Right.
Yes, correct. That is correct, Gerald. I was going to wait till a little closer because it's not till June, the next sale.
Okay. Item 8 is the another declaration of surplus for a generator formerly at the Old County Jail. Commissioner Williams, I know you've been working on this.
So I'm sure Mike is well aware of where this generator is sitting. It's right outside his door. But this is the generator that was taken out of the old jail on 5th Street. This generator was pulled out of service when we sold that building. And so what we need to do is declare it as surplus. And then that will give us the options of what we want to do to get rid of it. There's several different options. As we all know, we can go silent bid. We can go govsdeals.com, or, there's several others that we can go. But the first thing we got to do is get this declared. So I know there's a couple counties that are kind of interested in it. Taylor Power Systems is also interested in maybe buying it back and redoing it. So there's several options that we can get there. But again, to do that, we've got to do it as a surplus first.
I'll make a motion to declare it surplus.
So Commissioner Wright, as having possession of it at the moment, it moves to declare it surplus. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
A second from Commissioner Guerin. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, we've declared it surplus. Number 9 is consider an act on accepting a donation by the county to the sheriff's department. We have a microphone. Sheriff Hammond, were you going to explain this?
Just an individual showed up and, wanted to donate. I guess he feels bad for us in these trying times.
Any questions from the court?
Make a motion that we accept $1,000 of the sheriff office.
Okay, we have a motion to accept the $1,000 donation. I kind of think we need to say who we're accepting it from.
No, we have anonymous donations. Yeah.
Okay,
Or
so
regularly.
it is an anonymous,
Is it earmarked for anything particular? Yeah, it just goes in our special use fund. A lot of times people want to remain anonymous because then everybody's going to be beating on the door, stuff like that, you know,
to give you more, to up the ante.
well, we'll see after budget, maybe.
Yeah. I may need some help here from the treasurer or the county attorney, but I thought donations to the county always went to the general fund.
We've accepted it before for the sheriff's office. This is not the first donation that the
We
county's
accepted for the senior citizen center too.
Yes,
So
the
if
senior
someone
citizen-
came to you and donated, it would go to precinct 1?
Just if they earmarked it, that person that was donating, as long as the court approved it.
Is that your understanding, Mr. Hale?
Yes, sir, we have had, and I haven't researched it, but I know we have had money and items donated before in earmark for particular purpose. We had a vehicle donated at one time.
Okay.
But it's, I know we've done it before. I don't know what the actual budget process is, but that's the way we've done it before.
Okay.
If it is earmarked for something, if it's not, well, then it just goes into the general fund, credit to the sheriff's budget.
So we had a motion from Commissioner Wright, was that correct, to accept the
Correct, yes, sir.
$1,000 donation?
Yes.
Was there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, second from Commissioner Gearon. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Number 10, consider an act to exempt specific sheriff's office automobiles pursuant to the Transportation Code. So this was tabled in our last meeting. The way I read the statute, if we exempt things, we need to exempt specific vehicles. So there is, the sheriff proposed last time, before it was tabled, to exempt 4 vehicles. I've listed, I got from the county records, are the vehicles assigned to the sheriff's department. They're in your agenda. Sheriff, if you don't mind, would you, here's the list, or you have it. Tell us specifically which ones, I mean,
Well, hang on just a minute, I'm going back to the statute.
okay.
The way I understand the statute, this is just a blanket exemption, you don't have to, identify each vehicle.
Well, I have the statute in front of me, and it says the Commissioners Court of Accounting may exempt from the requirements of section 721.004, which is the requirement to put signage on it, number one, an automobile when used to perform official duties by, and then it lists a bunch of departments. So to me, an automobile is specific and,
I mean, a vehicle's a vehicle.
well, my reading of the law is that an automobile means we need to exempt specific automobiles. But I will defer to the county attorney.
Well, I didn't bring it with me, but I read the statute, I believe it does say an automobile, which in my opinion would be one or all. So, I mean, it would be up to the court what to decide to do. I think the court would have the discretion to exempt one or more certain vehicles. I think the court would have the option to exempt all vehicles, if that's what the court wanted to do. The statute does say an automobile. It doesn't say all automobiles, it says an. But again, I think you could take that to mean one or all, depending on what the court decides to do.
Well, I don't think anybody's proposed all, and the sheriff has proposed last meeting 4. And so I'm trying to get from our list of vehicles, which 4? I highlighted the ones that I could identify from what you said last time when you talked about yourself, the chief deputy, and you mentioned 2 investigators, but I could only tell 1.
Here,
Mark it, please.
you get, it's the first 4 on this list,
Okay,
basically.
so the one that says 2017 Ford Expedition. Is there any discussion?
I personally feel that every county-owned vehicle should be tagged. But also, with saying that, I think that with Clint's job as sheriff, is that I think he should have a right to have unmarked vehicles. He does undercover work, so we don't know what he does, but I think we ought to approve the 4 vehicles that he's asking to be exempt.
Well, my thought was, I don't disagree with you conceptually on that there's a periodic need for or usefulness for unmarked vehicles, but whether if we have 9 vehicles, 4 is close to 50%. Does half of your fleet fit into that category? Thoughts from other commissioners?
I guess my deal is that these vehicles that you're talking about exempt, they're not used for patrolling or for stopping people.
Occasionally during drug operations and stuff like that, or in the event we have other vehicles in the shop like I explained in court previously, because with that all the hail damage and a lot of it's gonna be rotated through. I don't know how long these vehicles are gonna be down, but we use them quite often. They don't have radars in them. They don't have cameras in them. So, you know, they're not used to ride up and down the highway, write traffic tickets. That's for sure.
Yeah, that's my big deal, because to me, it's a safety issue for the people. And it's also, to me, a safety issue for the officer.
Yeah.
You know, because somebody said, and I didn't look it up, if you take defensive driving, they tell you not to stop for an unmarked vehicle, even if you got red and blues, which are, fire departments have red and blues that you get to a well-lit area before you pull over with an unmarked vehicle.
And I mean, we run several times this year already with a marked vehicle with red and blue lights, and they still ain't stopping.
Yeah.
Just the ball in the Brandon County.
But that, I'm talking local people,
Yeah.
you know, that would be leery to stop with an unmarked vehicle just because it's got lights flashing, you know, kind of.
But really, the only one that need to worry about is the criminals.
Yeah, but it's kind of hard to define them. in a vehicle.
That's literally not what you know all the deal.
You hadn't been around pretty much.
Other discussion?
Judge? Judge?
Jason, I'm not hearing you. You might get closer to your mic.
Can you hear me?
Now we can, yes.
So, I can see how we need the investigators. I don't know if we need all 4 of them. I don't know, what is the reason for the chief deputy and the sheriff's pickups?
I don't have an excuse.
Okay,
Not bad.
well,
There again, I'll interject the court just like I did last time, take it off the table.
well, I mean, this was under the radar, so to speak, and now that we're aware, there's a law here that we got to either register it or do something. I'm not comfortable with the county just turning our back on it.
The law was created in 1995.
I understand, it's 26-year-old problem, yeah.
And that traffic code is thicker than the Holy Bible. You can't remember all that stuff. And it's been tweaked over the years. And I just become aware of it myself here recently, and I thought, you know what? And I've read some case law. Let's tackle this and avoid any kind of liabilities in the future. But it seems to create a problem for some of the commissioners of this court. So, yeah, I'm going to continue to do what I do and serve the citizens of this county, regardless of whether it passes or not. And we'll just deal with it when it becomes a problem.
The court needs to pass something.
Yeah.
I mean, we obviously have some vehicles at the sheriff's office that are not marked, that aren't intended to be marked. They have no reason to be marked or used in non-traffic patrol related activities, and they shouldn't be marked. The statute says that any vehicle owned by any governmental agency should be marked. It says Mills County, whatever, fill in the blank. County attorney, that vehicle hadn't been a problem. But I think the court needs to pass something. I think there needs to be some vehicles that are unmarked. And the sheriff will give you a list here of the 4 that are currently unmarked. I mean, I don't know why we can't pass that. So
Well,
Well, we had a rebuttal from Commissioner Williams, and then last week it was Commissioner Garrett, so I'm tired of fighting.
let's take this in steps. First of all, I'm not hearing any or much discussion on the investigators, so I would move that we designate the 2016 Chevy, and I'm seeing if I read this right, the 2016 Chevy Silverado and the 2017 Ford Expedition, both of which are currently assigned to investigators, as unmarked and exempt from, let's see what code this is, Transportation Code 721.005.
I feel that,
I'm backing up on procedure. I think we had a motion and a second on the floor, didn't we?
I made a motion when
You did?
yes, sir, that we allow Clint
To
to have
accept the 4.
the 4 vehicles, yes,
Okay,
sir.
I believe that was seconded, and we were on the discussion on that. So we
My-
need to deal with that motion before we.
I agree. So much time passed, I forgot about that one. Who was the second to Commissioner Wright's motion? So,
Jed,
what?
Jed did.
Did you second Commissioner Wright's motion? Okay.
Got it exempt from.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. We've had some discussion. Is all in favor, say aye. We have 1, 2, aye. All opposed, say nay. Nay. Okay. We have
Jason's
3,
vote on that?
ma'am.
What was Jason's vote on that?
Jason voted nay.
Nay.
And so did I.
Thank you.
And for the record, I think the investigators should be unmarked and the administrative staff, the sheriff and the chief deputy marked, but that's not what we just
For the
approved.
record, I think that'd be my decision, not yours.
Well, we're not going to discuss this.
Okay, let me back up. So that motion passed.
That motion passed. We have exempted the four vehicles.
Vehicles.
Yes,
Okay, we need to make an effort to keep up with those 4 vehicles because, obviously vehicles are used extensively for the sheriff's office. They put a lot of miles on them and they don't last very long. So these vehicles are going to be traded or
right.
disposed of with replacement vehicles later on. So when that occurs, the replacement vehicle needs to be designated as either a marked or an unmarked vehicle, so we can keep up with it and be in compliance with the law.
Based on this discussion, I would just assume that the sheriff's department, as we come in here to purchase new vehicles, which you're right, occurs from time to time, we designate them at the time of purchase, because that's when we're also paying to have the decals and everything put on them.
Yeah, I agree. We just need to keep up with that. in the
Yes.
future, I think.
Yes, I think that the court will remember that. Okay. We have consider an act on unit first agreement. This is a contract for the mats and mops in the courthouse and the senior center. It was last done in 2017. Since then, the senior center's been added to it. So we have more mats. Also, the law enforcement center was in both years, although the mat count's gone up. So the prices, based on the volumes, have gone up. We've been provided a new contract, which I believe should have Commissioner's Court approval before it's executed. Been offered a 15% discount. And you can see the numbers we're talking in the courthouse. This is something that would be about $80 a month, $81 a month, and another $67 a month at the county jail, both of which are up sharply from where they were in 2017. A lot of times passed and higher item count plus the seizure center.
We need them, don't we?
We do. The report from the custodian is that people come into the courthouse, and I'm sure the law enforcement in the senior center, with lots of stuff on their boots. And if we didn't have these out there getting picked to scrape some of it off, we'd be spending even more time on the floors.
And the price is $67.64, is that correct?
It's a unit price. Let me see if I can.
There's a
I
price.
think that's a law enforcement.
$81.10 and also one for $67.64.
Yeah, those,
Which,
that's the monthly bill off the last month. Yeah, what we're actually looking at is if you go up above that, there's unit prices of $7 for one size and $5 for another. And that's what it totals to with the discount.
make a motion, we approve the new UniFirst service agreement for 2021.
We have a motion from Commissioner Wright. Is there a second? I'll second. So a motion from Commissioner Wright, second from Judge Smith. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay. The next item on the agenda was to talk about IT services, but Mr. Goldsmith is in another commissioner's court, was not going to be available by Zoom until 10 o'clock. So we will skip that and come back to it around 10. We'll just talk about the hail damage in the county building. And this is listed as consider an act, but I'll tell you in advance, I don't think we're ready for any action. But we do want everybody to see where we are. And I have asked Guy Burns to join the discussion, as he and Commissioner Williams have had most of the interaction to date with the contractors. Let me get to the right page.
We do have insurance, do we not?
We do. Now, I wouldn't expect it to cover 100%. I know for a fact there's a deductible.
Correct.
Well, I know I have this. I've got too many loose pieces of paper. We had, thank you. Had a list of contractors that came by immediately after, and I think in one case, maybe even before the hailstorm. And so on this page is a list of everybody that came by. Most of them have seen the property. Guy has been up on the roof. I've been up on the roof a little bit. He's been up on the roof with every one of them. Mr. Burns, if you would come up and grab a microphone.
Do you remember, Judge, you put the new roof on the old jail?
Yes, it's approximately 2 years old, but yes, we just re-roofed that.
Yes. Do you remember the contractor? I don't remember.
I believe it was Clark Roofing, but I'm not positive. Mr. Burns, can you address who put the roof on the county jail?
That was Clark Roofing.
Okay.
Yeah, Clark did when they did the renovation, it was what, 2010, 11, that was the last thing they did. They put this roof on. They also did the roof on the old jail.
Did they do the roof on the courthouse too?
Yes.
Okay.
So they're familiar with our facilities here.
Yes. I think there's lots of information here, lots of companies. What we don't have is window prices from everybody. We have some more window prices promised, but the advice from our insurance company was to try and roll it all up. So we're dealing with one contractor and one price, and we know what it is. And when they're up with scaffolding or whatever lifts they're using for the roof, that's the most efficient time to do the windows.
With all the quotes that are here that's presented to us, there's just only one company that has windows.
Yeah, that's correct. We're expecting, there's one, I think it's down at the bottom called Excel. They have said they would have a window quote in today. Mr. Burns, if you would just give an overview of what your experience has been with these different contracts and what you think of the bids we've received today.
Okay, we've got 8 contractors altogether. And of the 8, 3 will do all windows, roof, and all 3 structures, the senior center, the old jail, and the courthouse.
With windows?
With windows, yes. What I did, I'm going by a recommendation from the insurance adjuster to go with a company that's big enough to do the job and not one of the little small companies that struggle to do this. So he was more concerned about getting it done right and coming back the second time. So Clark Roofing, they were the first ones here. They showed up immediately. I guess they call Lynetta Barnett, and she went ahead and was a contact point for them, and I was talking to them through that. Excel is the second one. They're a nationwide company, and they have a lot of good references. I met with the owner. He came out here personally to look at things, and then there's Parsons Roofing, which they are also a large company, and they have worked on courthouses here in the state.
They have no numbers on the portion.
I just got theirs. They had some trouble with the email. They sent the email this morning about 8:30. For some reason, it didn't go through, so I had an email to me personally, and I forwarded it. So I have to.
Along with Kent Roofing, Kent Elliott Roofing, and also with DT Roofing and Construction, you have those numbers too?
Yes.
Since you mentioned you had all 8 contractors, there's 3 of them without any numbers.
Yeah, those are the 3.
Yeah, we received a couple Friday after we published this.
Right. Kent Elliott Roofing, they brought theirs in this morning. And I said, just received Parsons.
Once we get it on the spreadsheet, we'll send it out to all the commissioners so you'll see what we're dealing with.
These other companies, though, they did not include the windows, these roofing companies, so, I just kind of agreed that the top 3 would do it
Well,
all.
the 3 you picked out are pretty competitive. They are in price wise and stuff, and you said they're big enough to do the job.
Yes, sir. And each one of them, they bring things to the table that are really good. Parsons has instead of the TPO, they have a product called Duralast. It's a PVC product. It's supposed to be better than the TPO that's up there. Might be something commissioners are interested in. Clark is going to they want to put up a hail impact resistant TPO, which is a 30-year warranty and it's good for up to 3-inch hail. So we don't have to go through this. That was one of the things that stood out for me.
Is that in their pricing?
Yes, sir.
It reflects it too. I mean, the price of it. It's expensive.
The biggest issue that so far that all 3 companies found is that copper flashing on the outside. It's going to be expensive. That's the one thing they're having to go through. Because obviously there's a problem getting copper right now. So that's going to be one of the issues. One of the companies wants to bring in a big crane out here to do everything from the top. No one wants to use the 60-foot boom lift like what we used to work on the windows. One talked about using scaffolding, but they shifted away from that. It just wouldn't be cost effective.
How about a time frame?
Okay, the only one I've got nailed down is from Clark. It's going to be 7 days for this roof. 1 week for the windows, 3 days for the old jail, and this is going to take about a month to do that copper. Now, that being said, the month on the copper, they can do these other things while they're working on, so it's not going to be an additional month. But overall, we're looking at a month copper.
How about starting time?
That I don't have yet. They will come in and give that on presentation on the
Yeah, I think, to me, one of the key factors now is the insurance. Our insurance company and Commissioner Williams had most of the initial conversation with TAC on this. They wanted us to get down to just one contractor, I believe, and then they want to negotiate with the contractor. Jason, would you fill us in on that?
Yes. So originally they said, you know, 1 or 2 contractors, 1 or 2,
Okay,
and present that to them and to see if they missed anything
Well,
on
we
their
have 3
side.
recommended to us.
yeah,
I do 3, so you
We-
can do 2.
we lost you, Jason, right into the 1 or 2. Let me pause a few seconds after I quit talking, get close to the mic and try again.
So TAC has informed us they wanted 1 or 2 to narrow it down that we would like to use. And then they would go and do their investigation to make sure that they're all on the same page and visit with them. The best thing with Clark Roofing is they have done it before. But when you look at their Clark Roofing's bid, they're so much higher than everybody else's. So, I mean, if you just take out the upgrades. So I don't know what, I could not get a hold of TAC on Friday to look at this spreadsheet. Again, not all of them did the copper and not all of them did the windows. We may want to do this as an individual basis. If I was hearing Mike right, I mean, we might want to just do the roof and then do the windows with somebody else. I don't know if we can do that until our insurance tells us what they would prefer. My opinion is we need to get the windows fixed ASAP because they're the ones leaking, not the roof. Except for one corner of the roof. But I think they've got it temporary fixed. But I really like to see all the figures before we made a motion or anything like that.
Yeah, I don't think we're ready. We don't have the information or the briefings that we would need to make a decision today. I wanted the court to see what things were looking like. I think the next step would be to get this, if TAC wants if our insurance company wants to negotiate with 2 potential contractors, that we let Commissioner Williams and Guy Burns, and if somebody else wants in on it, we can do another person without hitting a quorum. Come up with the 2 contractors, get the insurance company involved, and then try and get something specific to come to court for approval.
I think that's a good plan, Judge.
And also, is the copper, is that just a facial?
No, the copper is both historic, but it's also the flashing. So if we pulled it out, we'd have to put in tin flashing or something else, or we would have leaks. And so we're back to the historical issue.
Historically, we have to use the copper, right?
Yeah, correct.
Well, like I said, the way copper is, that would be something to me rather than rush into. Take some time and see where it's made.
There is an upside on the copper that a couple of the contractors advised me on, is that with other places they've done, you can take, if this copper is replaced, then we can keep the old copper and sell it and make up some of our loss there. So copper's selling really high right now.
Do we also?
Well, to us, with the insurance company.
Yeah.
Do we know what our deductible is?
It's $5,000.
On the Parsons bid, there was, they did not include copper. And these guys, when they put their proposals in, I told them, I said, get as close as you can. And I said, we're not going to hold you to these numbers right now. That's up to the commissioner's court and all of that. And they do the presentation. That's and give us some good numbers. Just give us a ballpark and a job scope, what you're going to replace, what you're going to use, and how you're going to do it. I just try to gather as much information as I could. And be honest with you.
Thank you all to continue to research it and run us some numbers.
All right.
Okay. Any other questions for Guy?
No, we appreciate it.
I had a question. You had was that actually a proposed motion to have Aberrant Commissioner?
No.
Williams and another?
I think we're taking no action here. Thank you, Guy.
All right. Appreciate it.
Well, let's, still got a few minutes before Goldsmith is available. So unless there's an objection, we propose to move ahead with the commissioners' reports and requests and judges' reports.
Judge, I believe he's on right now.
Judge
Okay,
is
he
coming
is.
on.
Yes, sir.
Then,
Connecting the audio to the speaker.
okay, let me give a little bit of a background and introduction. Goldsmith Solutions is it's Sam Goldsmith, and he's from Bayard, Texas. That's where he was raised, and this is an IT company that does nothing but support county government. So every county is different, but we all deal with the same type of stuff, just has to do it differently. So that's their focus. They are not an outsourced, they don't do the processing, they don't sell the equipment. They deal with little counties who are struggling with technology. Struggling is the wrong word, but little county technology advice. They have experience in historic courthouses. The material I have shows that they've received awards from Taxera for some of their solutions, and they have been a speaker at the Historical Commission conference on historical courthouse renovation. So they have a lot of things going for them that fit with where we sit. Our last experience with the email conversion was a struggle. I mean, it happened, but it put gray hairs on everybody that worked with it, and we had some downtime. And looking ahead, we have a number of IT issues facing us, everything from, software conversions and upgrades. In the treasurer's office, the clerk's just done something to go to the cloud. I'm looking at a phone system change to save money and to get better service. And it all is technology based. So with this, I just wanted y'all to hear from Goldsmith. This isn't an action item. It will be something that may be addressed in the budget. And with that, Sam, I apologize if I took liberties. You can start over with your introduction.
No, sir. I appreciate y'all's time today. It took me a minute to get connected, so was just kind of joined in the middle of that. But good morning, Judge and Commissioners. Actually joining you from the historic Throckmorton County Courthouse, in which we're attending Commissioners Court today to talk about some challenges that they have coming up related to election security. But as Judge Smith mentioned, we are an IT services firm. We specialize in two vertical markets, meaning two different kind of customer bases. And that is first and foremost county government. And then secondly, we deal with some community banks. So like your local hometown small bank. We've been committed to the county government space for 16 plus years and have had Callahan County, which is roughly a population of about 14,000 with us that entire time. Our goal is to make your lives easier and to provide the technical expertise, leadership when it comes to things that are evolving or changing in county government, specifically related to IT, and just to be a trusted source for information both for your elected officials, your commissioners court, as well as just all the users that use information technology services. As I'm sure each of y'all know, our world is changing. COVID pushed that quicker in allowing us to even meet today via video conference. But for some time, county government has been evolving. I tell people that when I first started with county government, computers were a luxury, and now they are not just a necessity, but they are mission critical to everything that you do. So we would love the opportunity to sit down and talk with you about what a roadmap would look like for your county, and discuss how we could partner together to make some of those things that are pain points go away, and chart a path for the county for the future to be able to address IT needs a little more seamlessly. So with that said, I'd be happy to answer any of your questions. I have been out there and met with your treasurer, Ms. Campbell, and then Ms. Scott, and then of course Judge Smith and Jackie that's in his office. So we've been out there a couple of times, but would welcome the opportunity to come back and meet with a larger group. But I just wanted to do a meet and greet this morning and answer any questions that you might have.
One thing you didn't mention that I saw in the brochure was that y'all are both HIPAA and CJIS compliant or approved, and you have done work for courts, law enforcement, and vehicle registration.
Yes, sir. So everything that we offer, we keep compliance at the forefront of the conversation. Unfortunately, IT used to be about innovation and about offering things quicker, better, cheaper. And now it is very much about compliance first and foremost. So anything that we develop as far as the solution to address a need for the county, we keep those things in mind. Our team goes through continuing education for CJIS training and is certified in that area, and we have been for 15 plus years, I would say. That directly relates to, everything that has to do with DPS, anything that has to do with your sheriff's office and criminal justice. Your clerk's office deals with some criminal justice documents that are regulated by that CJIS policy. And so we know that policy forwards and backwards. This is a policy, just kind of in layman's terms, that is developed by the FBI, that anyone that connects to the FBI system or the TLET system, which is through DPS Austin, you have to comply with those requirements. To give you an idea, there are a lot of IT vendors out there that, they can fix computers, so to speak, but providing a solution, providing that level of compliance and knowing, county government forwards and backwards is really what we've always been tried to be about. And it's becoming even more important with the CJIS related issue and the election security assessment that you would have gone through last year. I just got through telling the commissioners upstairs at Throckmorton County that the future of IT is compliance. We've been saying that for about 5 years. But I believe after this legislative session that, of course, you're going to have a lot of unfunded mandates, as you always do, coming out of the legislature. But I also believe a lot of that's going to be related to election security. I hope that there is money attached to that requirement, but we do see, I'm projecting a wave of compliance type issues that are new items that you've never had to address, that I would fully expect to take effect in the next 6 months to a year and a half, depending on how much time the legislature chooses to give counties to comply with that. But we are versed in those areas, and would be happy to speak to specifics of how we accomplish some of those type solutions.
Any questions from commissioners or any of the elected, any of the officials?
Where's their office at? There?
Well, no, Sam is from Bayer, but the question was, where are your offices?
Yes, sir. So we have an office in Austin, and I'm on that end of the equation. And then we have a team of people in our Abilene office, and then we have minimal staff in our Dallas office. So we're kind of imagine that like a triangle, and we have a lot of customers within that triangle. We're on the edges of it, and we're trying to grow that footprint specifically towards Austin. But that's where our people are currently located. For instance, if we did have the opportunity to serve Mills County, our goal would be to serve that probably from the Abilene area, so that's about an hour and a half. We've also got people on the Austin end, so including myself and another, that we could serve your account from that area, which is also about an hour and a half. When I started looking at, what the possibilities of type vendors that you deal with, you're kind of in that beautiful area of Texas, but it's not near a major city. You're about an hour plus away from anyone, but that's how we would service your account.
Can you name some nearby counties you've done work for?
Yes, sir. I included all those in the packet. As far as nearby, we really have started in that West Central Texas corridor. And so all of our counties are in that West Central Texas COG area currently. So you all are just slightly outside of that. But Callahan would be the closest one to you, Runnels County, but that's still a little bit of a shot across towards San Angelo, would be another one kind of in your geographic area. But as I said, our goal is to grow between Abilene towards Austin, because we know there are a lot of counties just such as yours that are underserved and don't have the level of expertise that we believe it takes to accomplish just kind of the day-to-day operations of county when it comes to IT.
Judge.
Questions?
Yes, Judge, can you hear me?
I can, Mr. Williams.
Well, I just wanted to say that I kind of agree with what you said, that the telephone co-op here has been amazing helping us out, but they don't have that compliance on their side. And so I do think that we're leading that way, and reading some of the bills in front of us, I do agree. I think we're going to be stuck with some election upgrades. Sorry for that for the clerk's office, but who deals with elections. But yeah, I agree with what you're presenting to us.
Well, and to clarify, Commissioner, our goal is not to replace the co-op when it comes to internet service or anything specifically. I know I visited with Judge Smith about, upgrading the phone system and working with them to do that because they are a great resource there in your community. But our goal, I describe it to people as you have software vendors, you have telecom vendors, you have, some kind of application vendor, which is often the state of Texas. We're the glue between all of that, so that when something doesn't work, instead of Ms. Scott having to call the state of Texas Health and Human Services or some department there for a birth certificate software issue, and them saying, well, it's your computer, and then she calls someone else and they say, well, it's your internet, and then she calls someone else. We take ownership of that problem, and we act on your behalf as if we are a part of your staff team, meaning that we're like an outsourced director of IT through network engineer, through account management, down to help desk type level. So our goal would be to work alongside you and to make sure that anything that's being installed in the future, specifically with the co-op, that you get what you pay for, that it's deployed with the future in mind, meaning that we're designing this, or we're setting this up to where you're not landlocked, so to speak. You're not buying a solution that works today, but when you want to add something tomorrow, we've got to start over. We're just kind of that advice and counsel on that, and then help with the project deployment. Specifically on the email, and sorry, I'm not trying to filibuster you here, but on the email issues that the judge mentioned, we've converted numerous counties off of the Sierra email product to an Office 365 product over the last several years, because Sierra and TAC did not have anything in their roadmap of how to deal with that. They do now have that, but if we need to help clean some of that up, I'm not sure what their conversion process looks like, because they're somewhat new to that conversion, meaning they've got all of this flood of counties that they're trying to help, and they're trying to get all this done in 2021. But I know that some of the pain points are often the calendar didn't migrate, the contacts didn't migrate, the autofill where you type in SA and it pops up Sam at that didn't migrate. We have worked with Microsoft and developed a kind of a workaround software in order to recover some of that data, specifically the autofill, because it doesn't just automatically migrate to the new platform. And we know that that's a pain for your users to lose that information. So as long as you still have the same computer that your email account was on prior to migrating, we would be able to recover that for you and help maybe tidy some of those things up that might be lingering.
Well, Mr. Goldsmith, do you sign a year contract, or y'all based on individual pricing, or how does that just overall look?
Sure. It's an excellent question. What I discussed with the judge about and how we deal with this with counties is that we come in and do kind of a needs assessment and sit down and evaluate where are you, because our goal is to move you to a contract to where you're not getting billed every single time you call. You're paying a maintenance fee type thing that includes your antivirus, includes us to monitor your firewall, includes, help desk, includes all those type things. But really, the first step in that process is to kind of assess where you are and talk to your users, specifically your elected officials, to find out what is it that they know they need right now, what is it that they've asked for but they couldn't accomplish it because there was a piece to the puzzle missing, and where would they like to see you in the next year to 2 years. And often when we've done this with counties, we go through that process, we come back to Commissioner's Court and present those findings, and then can outline, next steps. If it needs to be spread over multiple budget years, like if there's capital improvements, meaning if you need a new server, if you need a new whatever, I'm not just going to tell you like, oh, we know what you need and here's the price and take it or leave it type thing, because we don't know what you need. We know that about 8 to 9 out of 10 issues are consistent between every county in Texas, whether it is Parker County that is bustling and huge population growth, or any other county in Texas. It's all a matter of scale. So we think we know what a lot of those challenges are, but we don't want to just assume. We would like to sit down and talk to your users and kind of get an inventory list and that kind of thing in order to come back to Commissioner's Court and present some options.
Okay.
I hope that is thorough and answers your question.
Yes, sir.
I have not seen your law enforcement facility. I mean, I've seen it from the street, but I've not been inside of it. I believe, just by looking at it, my educated guess would be that it was built by Southwest Architects. Does that sound right? Okay. So we've worked, yes, sir. So we've worked in numerous facilities that they've built. We know what some of the challenges of that are. Sometimes we had one county that they built a brand new facility and they were over budget. And so when it got down to equipment and install, they were value engineering, meaning cutting out everything they could cut out just to get moved into the building. I don't know what the state of your law enforcement center is. I know that just because it's a new building doesn't mean that it has 100% new technology or the technology that you need. I'm not saying that there's a problem there, but I'm just saying that is a big wild card in my mind, partly because they're 24/7 is a big challenge in dealing with law enforcement. Plus it is, public safety and mission critical. Our team understands, and I drill into their head that, we have kind of a response plan. We're trying to formalize that. But my point is that we understand that public safety is the first priority in government, in our opinion, because there is no margin of error when it comes to, the phones not working or them not being able to book in an inmate or et cetera. And then it continues to move down through the court system, through the financial decisions. We try to have those conversations with counties early on to get your feedback on what your priorities are, but we kind of have a path in our mind of what the priorities should be, because we've dealt with this for years. And so my point is I'd like to see the facilities, but I think that there probably are a few needs there. Our goal for every county is to get a central network that all of the county offices point back into. and so that we can secure that one central network and monitor that one network and backup computers in a standard way, so that if you are ever in a disaster or an emergency, there is a very clear path to recover or get back in business. It's not 10 or 12 different departments saying, well, I'm going to call this person, well, I'm going to call that person. Well, you know, we use this software, well, we use that software. We try to have those things documented and kind of that plan in place. God forbid that you ever have a disaster, but we know that in a disaster, it's critical that county government function.
Are there other questions for Mr. Goldsmith?
The only other thing that I was going to say, Judge, is one thing that is somewhat unique about our organization is we do not try to sell stuff, meaning we're not trying to sell you a computer or a printer or whatever it is, the stuff that sits on your desk. We're trying to act as your IT department and to sell you the services that you need, backup, monitoring, alerting, antivirus, et cetera, and the expertise. So we procure the stuff, meaning we buy the stuff on your behalf, but that is purchased on a state contract that is specifically called DIR, where anything that we can buy on that contract, we do, because one, it doesn't have to go through a bidding process because the state has already put the vendor through the bidding process. And even if it's over $50,000, it still doesn't have to go through that. It's kind of like buy board or, you know, some of those purchasing co-ops. But we spec that stuff, you know, the computer, et cetera, and then we verify that that's, you know, that will meet your need, and then we order that on behalf of the county. But the key to this is the county is billed the direct cost of that equipment. So often a vendor will, you know, the model for IT used to be you make money on the hardware, and that model isn't valid in our mind anymore. Plus, we like to be transparent in what it is you're paying for something. So when you say, I expected that computer to cost $1,000 and it costs $1,400, we can say, well, let us show you why, and you know you're getting the best price for that specific, you know, that specific device because it is on the state of Texas contract. So that is something a little bit different that we do, just trying to be transparent. And the way we look at it is, if we were, you know, if I sat in Mills County every day and I was your director of IT, that's what we'd be doing there. And so yet again, that's the role we're trying to fill. And we're doing that through working through these state contracts and getting the best, most competitive pricing we can.
Well, your timing's good, and we appreciate the briefing. This is educational for all of us, and we in all counties are going into the budget process. So
yes, sir.
I'll stay in touch, and we'll see where we go from here.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for your time today, and we'd be happy to talk about next steps whenever y'all are ready. But thank you again. I appreciate it.
Okay, commissioners requesting reports, number 14. So let's just start with precinct 1.
We've been busy with some road work, cutting on brush. I have 2 precinct hands that are working on their Class A license. One of them's passed, the other one's tested today. And that's about all I have. Good.
Commissioner Guerin.
We've been hauling material on a couple of roads, fixing some bad spots. We graded some that had enough moisture on to work on. Talked to one of the representatives, Blattner, the other day. They're about half through the blasting process on some of the locations. They've got 2 concrete batch plants set up. We saw that with TCEQ a while back there. They're both set up. And I don't know who it is. There's some enterprising individual has a food trailer that goes out there every day at night. I don't know who it is. Feeding them all. Yeah. I went by the other day, there's about 20 of them lined up down the bar to get you. So how do you think about that? You know, it's an economic help for the county, and this guy to take advantage of it. That's all, Jeff.
Thank you. Commissioner Parkman.
We're have all the dirt hauled on 226, is 1.7 mile road. Gonna start putting tin horns in it today. We're gonna have to definitely put 2 tin horns in it at the end, possibly 3, possibly 1 at the other end. That'll have that thing completed, and that is the road that we've been working on now for 3 weeks, I guess. It takes a while to haul 1.7 miles of road, plus having to crush it with a loader. The other thing is that's about it. That's what we've been doing. The other thing is our illustrious subdivision at Pretty did kick off usually this weekend with the land sales. Gonna try to meet with the superintendent of Pretty School. Somehow or another they were able to use the Pretty back room for their land sales office. Don't really think that was quite kosher, but anyway, they were out there in full force. Don't know what they got sold. I do know there was a huge crowd. Did meet with one of the guys because my understanding was they couldn't sell in Mills County. The only thing they were offering in Mills County is the lots that were county road frontage. Well, when they presented us to that before, they said they would not be using any Mills County roads, that they'd come in off Hamilton County side. Now they're saying that they can sell them because they can have access. There's 9 lots in a mile, and every one of those lots would have to be 10 horn lot. I guess this would come in the request. We've always put 10 horns in and the county furnished the material. I don't think it may need to be put on the agenda or whatever. I don't think the county should have to furnish the material.
By material, do you mean the tin horn?
No, the dirt that goes around it. Because it's gonna take a pretty good sized truckload to pack each 10 horn in. And that's probably, well, 7 times 15, $105, $110 that the county's putting in. That's, to me, not really the county's responsibility. And particularly when you get on a deal like that, that's $1,000 of county money that's really benefiting the landowner. So that's about all I got. That ought to be enough.
Was that on county right of way with the foot and the horn and is that county? No.
We're working.
Well, when you said they want to put in 10 horns and material,
Yeah,
just gonna have to furnish it. Y'all gonna furnish a horn and then furnish material.
no, they'll furnish some horns.
They'll furnish.
They-
But is that on county right of way?
Yes. There could very possibly be 9, 10 horns in a mile. Because those are 10 to 20 acre plots. It's really kind of a mess. I mean, you're not even gonna be able to blade that road for 10 horns. But that was not what they had originally proposed. But I think right now what's happening, they're trying to get as much of that thing sold as they can before the towers start popping up on the next deal. So I'm not saying they're a rush deal, but they're a rush deal.
Yeah, I think we'll be seeing more of this.
Yeah, I think it's just a start, possibly not. And another thing is the first plat agreement that they presented us with was 82 lots. There's 85 lots. It's 964 acres. So it's for this country, or really for any country, it is a huge subdevelopment.
And that half Hamilton, half million?
Close. I don't know the exact figure, but it is close to 50.
What about the,
Commissioner Hamilton about it?
Have not, because I'm a little ticked at Hamilton for not having any control. In Hamilton County, you can very well do what you want if you got this property. And it's hitting them hard because I assume the one that these guys have an event is in Hamilton County also. So these guys are kind of free range over there, and I talked to the guy Saturday, I guess it was Saturday morning, David Roberts, and he's like, he was real quick to tell me they were doing nothing illegal. And so, because I questioned the fact that they had the plots numbered in Mills County, and they have not even came back to the court with anything. And so, but it makes it kind of tough when right across the county line, they just do whatever they want.
Gets back to that old private property story.
That's exactly right.
Commissioner Williams?
yes, so we've been doing a lot of blading with the moisture that we've got on 532, 536, 538, 531. This week we'll be blading County Road 430, 432, and 433, which is the Swinging Bridge in Jones Valley. Also, we'll try to be running the shredder on a couple roads, mainly County Road 530 this week. I want to let everybody know that if it's all right with y'all and all the other commissioners, we're going to have a safety meeting on May the 3rd here at my precinct barn. That morning at 8 o'clock, should be done in less than an hour. And then I've got the donut shop to give us some donuts and some drinks. So the guys can come out here about 8 o'clock. We'll do a short safety meeting. And then in about an hour's time, they can be back to work. For those that want to send their guys over for a safety meeting. The only other couple of things I've got is that going to have an interview with AXIS camera systems on camera systems for the Swinging Bridge. I've got all the landowners out there next to the bridge that are all willing to help in any way we can. AXIS, the salesman they gave us is actually originally from Brownwood. He's they live in Austin now, but he's very familiar with the bridge, and he's excited, and that's what I liked. He was an excited salesman wanting to help us out on the bridge. They're working on a proposal and different things to give us for that bridge. Again, as I mentioned before, San Saba's wanting to help with this to get this system done. Last thing is I'll be leaving as soon as court's over to go to a funeral this afternoon and be gone for the rest of the day. I will be gone Thursday through Saturday to watch my son Jacob run at a conference track meet in Mississippi. So I'll be gone for the weekend. Other than that, that's all I have, Judge.
Thank you. The courthouse stuff on the, start with the subdivision, to try and get things moving with the Knight Law Firm. I took on the responsibility just to get it done of consolidating the existing ordinance, the input from the county attorney and my wish list into a single document, which I have then sent back to Knight Law Firm for review, for two things. I mean, besides numerous typos probably, is making sure that what we're proposing has the legal standing to be supportable. And secondly, that we're not overlooking something else we could be doing based on their experience with other entities. And I've also repeatedly asked for a calendar to move this thing forward. I need to know when, how much publications required, when we have hearings, is there a taking hearing, all the steps from getting it publicly negotiated, discussed in commissioner's court, appropriately advertised, and then whatever we end up with finally done. As soon as I get that calendar back and a return on the consolidated document, I'll immediately share it. If anybody wants it now, I'll be glad to share it with you, but it's going to be a work in process because I expect they're going to throw out some of the things we have in there and add some other ideas. That's where we are on subdivisions. Budget, I will be working with the treasurer this week, trying to get out the departmental and, more importantly, the community organization budget request based on last year with some instructions and timing on getting them back, trying to stay as close to as we can to the budget calendar that we circulated last week. The one thing I'll just own up to missing on, and it's no excuse, was I wanted to get on the table my budget goals for the year and just mislisting them on the agenda. I've got them written. I've sent them to the commissioners. We can, if we have a called meeting on the contracting on the roof, we'll put that on the agenda, and otherwise we'll have it on the agenda to discuss at our next meeting. And finally, we haven't had a jury trial here in over a year, and we're fixing to have one late May. May 17th. Notice is probably going out later this week with the how long it's been, the number of things that are backed up, the size of some of these cases. You know, it could be every, you know, living human in Mills County that doesn't have a recent felony is going to get something in the mail. So you'll hear a lot of that. You'll see a lot of activity around the courthouse. We're going to physically remove a few benches from the district courtroom. We may have one in the back here. You may see an extra one out in the hall just to make everything fit. The plan would be that we'll be using, the jury would be seated actually in the gallery of the district courtroom. So the public ability to attend may likely be limited to the balcony. So there'll be a lot of things going on in the courthouse with regard to that. It'd be, if you don't have business that day, I'd suggest you stay away. But then I'm told that it might last a couple of weeks, so we can't do that. Right now, I think we're going to be able to dodge an impact on Commissioner's Court because this room is where the jury deliberations will be. They'll be using the county courtroom. So that's all I have. Appreciate everybody's patience this morning. We've covered a lot of information. Is there a motion for adjournment?
So be it. I'll make a motion. Adjournment.
Motion from Commissioner Wright, second from Commissioner Parkin. All in favor of adjourning, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Meeting adjourned.